Today I want to pose to you a question. How can we be happy? What does it take in order for us to be happy? Well, I suppose that depends on who you ask. Something like an after-school special would tell you that our happiness is found in our friends, or our happiness is found in the people we love, or doing what we want to do with our lives. But that doesn't really have to do with our happiness. I'll tell you something very important about happiness that may not seem right, but I guarantee you it's absolutely true. Okay? The truth is, you will never, ever be happy until you have enough stuff. That is absolutely true. Until you have enough money, enough things, you're not going to be happy. But there's a catch to that. The catch is you decide when you have enough. You see, having enough things, that's being happy, but letting enough be enough, that's called contentment. And that's what I want to talk about today is contentment. And we're going to be in 1 Timothy chapter 6. We're going to talk about contentment today in 1 Timothy. Benjamin Franklin said that contentment is what makes a poor man rich, and it makes discontentment makes a rich man poor. It makes all the difference in the world in our happiness. 1 Timothy 6:6, Paul writes to Timothy, and he puts it this way: "But godliness with contentment is great gain." Godliness with contentment is great gain. Why do you think he groups godliness and contentment together? Why do you think he puts them together like that? Well, can you be content without being godly? Well, I think maybe to an extent you can be content, you can be happy, but you don't have that really full, complete contentment and if you don't have some degree of godliness. Well, can you be godly without being content? Well, again, maybe you'll be godly in one area, but you're not going to be fully holy as Christ wants us to be if you don't find contentment. And so that's what I want to see today is contentment accompanies real godliness. Contentment accompanies real godliness. To be really, truly holy like Christ, we have to be content. And if we are like Christ, we're spiritually taken care of, we're prepared for His return. Spiritually, we're good. If we're content, it means we have everything we need and we're happy with everything we need. Physically, we're good. So I think that's why he says godliness with contentment, or contentment with godliness, is great gain. If you have contentment and godliness, you're spiritually good, you're physically good, everything about you is good. Your whole life is good, and that really does lead to happiness. And so I want to look today at 3 reasons why we should pursue contentment, why we should try to be content on 1 Timothy chapter 6. So let's start off the next verse down in verse 7. 1 Timothy 6:7, first reason that we should be content. Paul writes, "For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that." Well, first reason to be content is because things are temporary. It's just stuff. You can't take it with you. They're just here for a little while. Ecclesiastes 5:15 says, "Naked a man comes from his mother's womb, and as he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand." The things of this world are here, and they are here only. We, on the other hand, we're bound for heaven. So the very nature of our relationship with the things of this world is that the things here are just temporary to us. It's funny how upset people can get sometimes about things that are really temporary. If someone's car gets scratched, they get upset because the paint on their car is scratched. Well, a paint job isn't going to last for forever. For that matter, the car itself isn't going to last forever. People get upset if their lawnmower messes up and it skids the grass and it makes their yard look ugly. Well, you know, when we're in heaven, we're not going to care what our grass looked like. And even from an earthly perspective, it'll be fixed in a couple of weeks. A couple months ago, my computer battery started messing up. It'll only hold a charge for about 15 minutes now. And I was upset about that, but really it's just a temporary thing. That's the nature of computer batteries, is they wear out. If they didn't, then I wouldn't have to buy more and the company wouldn't keep getting money from me. They have to wear out sooner or later. Even the bodies that we have here, they're temporary. Eventually they're just going to die like everything else. We can't keep these things forever, so there's no point in pursuing them. There's no point in living for them, at least. In Matthew 6, verse 19, Jesus said, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal." You see, we're just passing through on earth. We're temporary residents. And so the things that are here for us to use right now. They're here for us to use in the current time, not for forever. They don't last for forever. Has anyone in here ever stayed in a really, really bad hotel? Me and Bree went to Greensboro one time, and we stopped at a hotel while we were there. And I walked into the bedroom, I glanced over at the bed and there was this big, dark, stained looking spot on my pillow. I said, well, that doesn't look clean. So I put the stuff down and walked over. It wasn't a stain, it was actually a roach on my pillow crawling around. That was a bad hotel experience. But then for every bad hotel experience, you have a good hotel experience sometimes. Anybody ever been to a good hotel? A nice one. I'll tell you what makes some hotels pretty nice are the accessories that are in the hotels. When me and Bria went on our honeymoon, we went to this resort in Minnesota, a lake resort called Breezy Point. And they had a really nice room that we stayed in. There were 2 TVs, there was a comfortable couch, there was a coffee pot and a microwave and a refrigerator. It was really, really nice. But when you look at the whole picture, when we went on our honeymoon, we did not pick Breezy Point because the hotel room had a coffee maker. That wasn't the purpose of our trip. That wasn't why we went. We went because it was a pretty place, a cool area by a lake with a couple of nice golf courses. There were some nice things in the hotel room, but that wasn't the point. You don't go on vacation. You don't go to a place because you can get nice things. A hotel room has a refrigerator. Those are just accessories. They're just on the side. They don't matter. They don't make up the full extent of your trip because sooner or later you're going to turn around and go back home and those things aren't even going to matter anymore. We're kind of in the same position as Christians on earth. We have a lot of nice accessories here on earth, a lot of nice things that we can use and play with, but that's not what the trip's about. That's not why we're here, because eventually we're going to go home and those things are going to stay here anyway. See, we have a purpose on this earth that consists of more than the accessories that we get to use while we're here. So we shouldn't live for the temporary things, but on the contrary, Matthew 6 verse 20, Jesus said, "Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." The eternal things are what really matters. We should be living for the service that we can give to God, something that's going to last, something that's going to make a difference. So start looking at things that we have here as temporary tools, because that's all they really are. Life is not about the things that we get here. Life's not about the food I eat. I can enjoy the food, but really it just sustains life. I shouldn't live for it. Life's not about the nice car that I can drive, because after I'm dead and gone, no one's going to care about what kind of car I owned. Life's not about how nice I can look and the kind of clothes that I can wear and how fancy I can dress. That's not what life's about, because believe it or not, even my stunningly handsome features are going to fade away one day. I'm going to get older and my appearance will break down, and even if I were to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on cosmetic surgeries to keep myself looking young my entire life, I'm still going to die, and then the only compliment I'll ever get is, "Doesn't he look natural?" Don't live for the things of this world. These things are temporary. Live for things that are eternal. In Luke 14, verse 33, Jesus said, "Any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot be my disciple." If we're not ready, if we're not willing to drop the things of this world at the drop of a hat, then we're not ready to follow Christ. What really lasts, what matters, what's eternal is the relationship that I can build with my Savior and the people that I can bring closer to Him in the process. So don't live for the temporary things. Be content, because the things here are just for a little while.